Good afternoon to all. On behalf of Institute of Indian Foundryman, I invite all fellow foundrymen to the training session on from price per kg to carbon per kg, how steel products can win orders in the era of green procurement. I welcome all the people from Foundry for this webinar. Now, about the speaker, Mr. Venkateshwaran Ramachandran is the speaker for today's program. He has more than 2 decades of expertise in sustainable energy technology, in expertise in smart and net zero building solution. He's an accomplished entrepreneur with unique blend of customer centricity, technical expertise, marketing and sales leadership traits. He is the CEO of ClimeUp, the first sustainable technology company in the industry. He led the development of a comprehensive sustainability intelligence platform, software as a service for medium to large enterprise globally, empowering them to drive sustainable progress with actionable intelligence. Prior to founding ClimeUp, he served as the head of digital and Internet of Things at Planet Smart City, where he built an award-winning PropTech SaaS platform, improving lives through social innovation and digital AIoT technologies. Thiru also has a patent for IoT robotic solution and previously led the IoT and augmented reality and virtual reality practice at Cognition. He holds an MBA, Executive MBA from Quantic School of Business and Technology and a bachelor's degree in Electrical and Electronics Engineering. I welcome all to this wonderful session. Now the floor is for the trainer. Sir, you can continue, sir. Sir?
Yes, sir. Thanks for the nice introduction. And once again, thanks everyone for joining.
Sir, your voice is somewhat less, sir.
Oh, is it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is it better now?
Okay, sir. Medium. It should be somewhat more.
Okay. I will. Okay. Let me try. I'm closer to the mic only.
Okay.
So can you once again confirm, is it better now?
What, sir?
Are you able to hear me, sir? No?
Somewhat volumeless, sir.
How about others? Same?
Yes, sir. Now, okay. Okay, sir.
Okay, sir. Because it's the same system I use daily, sir. So
okay,
I didn't know.
Okay.
But anyway, I'm closer to the laptop. Okay, once again, thanks everyone. As Sir mentioned, we wanted to touch this topic of price per kg to carbon per kg because that is what driving the price today. And around that, we have been working across customer base. I will quickly do this introduction. So we'll go with this agenda. So we'll have basic introduction about what we do, and then CBAM introduction, and then CBAM cost exposure. These are all related to the price and carbon per kg. And then we get into what is that, the OEMs, I mean, the expectation from the steel producers, how they can navigate the journey of green procurement, and what are the steps is required to be competitive. And also from a regulatory perspective, because a lot of us, still not fully equipped to provide the necessary data and adhere to the compliance, because it's also first time in Europe, the buyers also getting through this kind of regulation. So that being said, there is a lot of development happened. I will walk through that latest updates as the regulatory evolves in the Brussels and Belgium. Yeah. So then we'll see a quick 5 minutes of demo at the end of the session. That's one. Yeah, as we mentioned in the brochure, so again, we aim to provide you a high-level overview of importance of carbon and how it impacts your purchase decisions. And similarly, what is the expectation from your buyers about the Scope 3 data? And then how being proactive in doing PCF or other emission reduction initiatives would help in long run is something we will also touch upon. I'll skip this. Yeah, so just to highlight the work we do at ClimeUp is, as I mentioned, like, it's one of the leading ESG and climate regulatory firm. So we have a deep expertise in corporate carbon accounting, including setting up the targets, helping them to publicly disclose with the science-based target setting, which is again an Europe-based NGO, which is a standard setter for all the net zero and near-term commitments publicly. So we help companies to achieve that, and all other ESG related requirements around this space, and all our employees are certified in ISOs around GHG 14064 and 65. Yeah. In terms of offering, again, in terms of advisory, we do enterprise sustainability, starting from a carbon footprint for corporate, and then defining the net zero strategy, and then ESG reporting, if you are heavily into social aspect of business, like textile and other things, and then doing material assessment. And once this is done, this is the foundation. Once the basic things are done, and depends on the buyer needs, there is a product carbon footprint or life cycle assessment, and EPD, something we support. And eventually, as part of supply chain, there is a more focus on assessment by your buyers from US and Europe, where you need to provide a lot of responses like equators and other things. So we support that supply chain sustainability as well. And last but not least, the regulatory compliance of different countries and regions. These are the core expertise of the team. And then as part of or through our experience, we also found that the customers are juggled with multiple requests and different times, almost same data, but in different template and format. So once we realized that, we wanted to support the customer with the tool, and then that's how we come up with this all the whole platform ecosystem, also from the experience of building net zero and smart city solutions. So this will help you in the long run. Anyway, just to tell you what we do. And these are the various frameworks we currently support for all our customers, and it's keep evolving every day. Okay, so that's about the quick introduction about the company. And in terms of CBAM, I think most of you have some basic understanding, but I just want to go back and do some refreshing, and then we get into the core topic. So CBAM is primarily EU mandate, started from the initiative of Fit for 55 in 2030 package. So basically what it means is they want to reduce the emission of entire Europe continent 55% by 2030. So that was done way back in 2022. And that is the initiative, but then as part of that, there are various initiatives they did. One of them is CBAM, and it became a policy now and become an instrument for the global imports for 6 sectors. And now they also in a proposal of including 200 more commodities into CBAM. So I think if this is successful in this definitive year, in this 2026, and is going to be a norm for almost all the goods which is imported within Europe. Yeah. So that's a quick introduction why the CBAM. And how it works is basically anybody outside of Europe shipping steel or aluminum or fertilizer goods into EU port, So they need to CBAM data supplied to the buyer or the importer. So the importer needs to have how much product they import. In addition to that, how much emission per product they are also importing into Europe. And accordingly, there is a lot of calculations and methodologies in which they need to arrive the price per carbon, and they need to buy the certificates for every import. Okay, so that's the thing. But for this 2026, the certificates are expected to be available at the end of the year. So till the time, uh, they will monitor all the data provided by the exporters from India or China, and then they will collect all those data and then ready to submit to the authorities whenever there is a declaration requirement. That is mostly. Sir, can I request if everybody to go on mute, please? Yeah, those who are not speaking, can you go on mute, please?
Muted, sir. Muted, sir. You can proceed.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Yeah, and this is not applicable to all goods. There are set of goods or HSNs already classified as CBAM goods. Only those will be, come into this regulation. As I said, there is slowly they are adding more goods. And what is, see, before we try to understand our problem, we need to understand what is the buyer's problem, right? So the importers or buyers has strongly comes under this regulatory, and it is governed by the European CBAM, or transitional registry. So it's basically a central system in which the importer has to submit all the data for every quarter or import per import, and that data will be used by multiple authorities to verify and audit the total carbon imported within Europe by any individuals, I mean any company, and then to accordingly, the certificate price also varies on a weekly basis. So it becomes an like similar to our markets. So this is becoming it's alive. So it's very serious business now. So that's the impact for the Europe buyers or importers. And eventually, in order to be ready, they also ask all the suppliers across the globe to adhere to this. So that is the logic behind this. Yeah. Okay. So now I'd like to share some of the latest legislations, which is paused very recently, like just before the Christmas holidays. So what they did is they given time from 2023 till 2025 December as a 2 years time frame as like a trial, or they call it as a transitional phase, where they let everybody to start collecting data and at least practice what is the data collection methodologies and how the emissions for product and all. So there is a lot of customers we ourselves supported last almost 6 quarters, where they used to send the report every quarter to their German or Europe customers. So it's like a trial phase. Now, starting this January 1st, 2026, everybody get into the definitive period, which is like the law is in force. And there are different um, emissions, right? So let's say uh, if you are unable to provide the emissions calculated within your plant and give the data to your customer, there is something called default emissions, which the exporter can use to calculate the how much emission per kg of your product, and then you can send the data to your customer. Okay. So that was the practice during the transitional phase, and that is still continues in definitive space. The only thing is the default emission factor, which is used to calculate per ton of goods, is actually changed and is actually almost 2 to 3 times higher than the previous default factor. So that is one thing is already given. The calculation rules for your emissions is enforced. And second is in order to have a level playing field, they also given some allowance. Okay, so let's say you are shipping some goods, you are emitting some X ton of CO2, carbon dioxide. Uh, they say like, okay, you can maybe reduce some amount because we already give some allowance to European producers. So they call it as a benchmark. So there is a benchmark free allocation where if it is, let's say, for example, I'm saying, so let's talk the exact number. So let's say if it is 10 ton and out of 10, maybe 1 ton, you can reduce it. And then maybe remaining 9 ton is considered for your calculation. That is not paid, but still you consider for that. So this is a rough example, but like I said, there's a lot of nitty-gritties. I will go into details. So that is called free allocation benchmark defined by the European Union. Okay, so that is second. Yeah, and then the third thing is like this default value is used to calculate the cost for per certificate, right? Or what is the total certificate they need to procure for a shipment. So it's actually higher. So obviously your cost for certificate is also going to be higher. So the European importers, so they actually need to pay more if they use the default emission factor for the emission calculation. Okay, that is one important point to be noted. So that is the reason they ask all the producers to calculate your actual emissions in your operations and also from your raw material supplier, right? So in case if you are a component manufacturers buying from another steel producers, then you need to get what is the emission for manufacturing the steel, for iron or steel products for each methodology or each production route. If they manufacture using an EAF method, what is the emissions? Or a BOF method or BF method, what is the emission? Or if they use the scrap DRI, then what is the emission? So for every production route, whenever you procure the raw material, we also need to get what is the direct and indirect emission for that batch or the heat number. So this is something we need to be aware of going forward. I think starting from January 1, if you're already not documented, let's document it in a Excel or a system. So what material we purchased and what is the emission supplied by the raw material supplier, and then um, what are the other processes you undergoes before it is exporting to the European customer. So everything needs to be documented um, because that is also mandated as part of the verification process. So you need to document whatever the communication you receive from a supplier, emission data you receive. You need to get a verified documentation from them, not just an email or like that. So we need to ask if there is a verified document available. So that is something we need to get it. Yeah. So this is the current, implementing regulations, but then there is also proposals to try to avoid the, anti-circumventions like try to have the leakage. So people try to change slightly modification and then change the HSN number so that they skip the CBAM. So again, there is a proposal to arrest that loop, how I know it's still in proposal, but that will anyway come into effect to avoid anybody trying to change the HSN code for the same product and bypass the CBAM route. So that is also in discussion. Yeah. And another important point is the carbon price in the origin country. So as you know, India is also now coming up with the carbon trading system, which will be most likely affect by mid of this year or before the end of this year. So that will become a body which will define the carbon price for different industries and different products. And we are not sure how it's coming out, but eventually it is similar to the Europe emission trading system. So we have to pay a certain fee or levy or tax for the goods which we are manufacturing and the associated emissions actually. So which is primarily going into export country. And that carbon price paid in India also we need to communicate to your Europe buyers because that will be subtracted from the amount they are paying to the European Union, I mean the European emission trading systems. Yeah. So this is there's a lot of things happening, but at high level, these are the important points I think you should know. In terms of timeline, as I mentioned, from 2023 till 2025 December or Q4, it's a transitional phase, which is in the gray. And if you see the 2026 Q1, where we are now, so this year, the purple one is the first definitive year where all the data will be collected, monitored, and audited. And then the buyer in Europe has to pay the carbon tax for the imports. Yeah. And during the transitional phase, it was every quarter we used to send the data. But since that time, no tax, I mean, the real money is involved, buyers are little okay if you send it here and there. But now they are very seriously looking at this topic. And then because they need to forecast their budget on a quarterly basis, how much they need to save in order to buy the certificate at the end of the year. For that reason, they currently getting into the mode of measuring the cost impact and then how that will be shared between the suppliers and also their customers. So there is a different risk assessment and pricing negotiation activities are going on. So for that reason, they want the data to be clearly targeted and I mean measured in starting from Jan 1st for every shipment, and then that will be used for the verification at the end of 2026. Yeah. So this is about the CBAM introduction. Now, getting into the cost exposure perspective. So this is an important item, as I mentioned, that's a primary item. So there are a lot of parameters influencing the CBAM cost exposure. So number one is if Indian exporter is failed to provide actual emission data, then the EU default values, emission values will be used for calculation, which will be much higher. Like I said, 3 to 4 times the actual emissions in some cases. That is the important point. And second, the EU has provided the benchmark mechanism to detect the specific emissions for each HSN code and also depends on the production route. Okay, so there is a free allocation till which it is allowed per ton of particular HSN code, how much emission can be deducted and not taken into account for the carbon tax. So that is also given by the European Union. And the third one, so like I said, the default values actually increases the cost for EU buyers. and providing the actual data is a must. It's no more an optional, because I think those who are already involved in discussion, you may aware, they would be insisting on this. Otherwise, they will pay more, and which doesn't make sense for them to do business with the suppliers who's not providing data, because they're going to pay more than what they get it from other places. So we will lose the price competitive advantage if we are not acting on this. And the fourth aspect is, even after all these calculations, they try to reduce. They try to phase out till 2034. Okay, so all this, so they give some phase-in factor like 2.5% you can pay for this year, and 5% is next year. For in total emissions, you can pay only for 2.5% in this year. That is for 2026. And then 2027, you can pay only for 5%. So like that, they slowly phase in, and by 2034, it is 100%, which means like you have to pay any import of carbon into European soil, you have to pay 100% without any exception starting 2034, right? So that is the period in which they give the phase-in factor for the price calculations. And yeah, so I was mentioned about the default values. So the default values will be applied equally for your goods which you are shipping, and also for any material which you purchase from your buyers, the raw materials, right? And as you could see in this slide, 2026, they marked up 10% emissions from the base value, and 2027 is 20%, and 28 is 30%. So just like that, 10% on average, on annual basis, they increase. The primary reason is they want everybody to calculate the actual emissions, don't use the default value. So that is the reason behind it, because it eventually is going to cost you high. And again, this is country specific. It is not generalized. So every country, based on the dynamics and the energy source availability and production methodology used, the percentage and the values are given for each countries. Yeah. In terms of the benchmark value, how much you can reduce or subtract from your actual emissions or default emissions. Again, they're given a guidelines where, let's say, for example, HSN code of 72249005. So if you don't provide the actual emissions, then there will be a default value. And then you have the column B, which says 1 and F. Again, if you see the legend, F is low alloy steel based, BF or VF. So if this particular product is produced in a production route of BF and BOF, and for 2026, the value is 0.223. And for the same goods in 2027 is so 1.409 if it is default value. Okay, and if it is if you're using actual value for your calculation, then you can subtract from the column A, which is 0.223. And if you're using a default value for your calculation, then you can use for column B. So this is the benchmark value, which will be used for cost calculation. And the CBAN phase-in factor, as I was mentioning, starting from 2026, it's 2.5 is something chargeable emission, and slowly it is increasing every year. And by 2034, 100% all the emissions, exported is actually chargeable. So there is no exception. And slowly they are reducing the free allocation. So whatever the benchmark value they provide us to subtract now, so you cannot do that anymore because slowly the free allocation will be removed and there is no free allowed. So what it implies is they expect all of us, meaning all the producers throughout the world, to take action to reduce their emissions in whatever way possible, either by adopting green technology or efficient machineries or processes. I know, I mean, most of us in this room, may not agree with that. That's a practical scenario, but sitting from Europe, they obviously think that this is good for the entire world and everybody has to follow it. So there is no uh, second thought in it, and everybody agrees. And that's the reason it's becoming a reality now. The regulation is in act. Yeah. So this is the average cost in 2026. And I think if you've seen my first slide, um, this month, I don't know if I can go back. Let's see. Quickly go back. Yeah. So this is uh, the price as of today, 83.98 is the per ton of CO2 import into Europe. And this month, if you see 14th of Jan, it gone to 92 euros per ton, which is almost 10,000 rupees per ton they have to pay if they're importing into Europe. Yeah, so this is the live data. And if you let me go back to the current slide. Yeah. So again, this is an example. So if you are, let's say, targeting some of these HSN codes, so there is a emission value. It's a calculated value if you have an actual, or if there is if you don't have it, then the default value. So then the benchmark value, which can be allowed to subtract as a free allocation. And then there is a phase-in factor, as I mentioned, 97.5% is exempted in 2026. Only 2.5% is what payable. And if you already paid any amount or the carbon tax in the originating country, which is actually zero in India right now, and assuming the certificate price for per certificate is 90 euros, so this is the cost per ton for this HSN code. You have to pay. I mean, at least the buyer has to plan the expense for purchasing certificates if they are importing these HSNs and all other HSNs under CBAM goods. So the value will be different, but then you can see is almost impractical doing business, but that's the reality. And this is the sample calculation. And so this is calculator is also available in free on our platform. So currently it's there is a production go live is going on as it's end of the month. So tomorrow it will be available. Maybe all of you can check if for your HSN code, and you can get the price for your products, at least estimated price, so that you know where you stand today. So now we know there is CBAM and there is a emission calculator and there is a cost associated with the certificates. So what is that we need to do? So right, so that's the important question. So before that, what you buyers expect from Indian exporters, right? So basically, they expect all of us to share the specific embodied emission, that is SEE, direct and indirect for all the CBAM goods for all shipments starting January 2026. Yeah. So that is the first and foremost thing. And the quality of data should be very good and not approximated or random data because it's cost. Every 0.01 we put randomly, it will be multiplied into euros when we purchase the CBAM certificate. So it is as important as a financial system now. So we have to be accurately measure and then provide the data. Second, it's important to understand the cost exposure, as I was showing in the previous slide. And then there is a discussion to share or absorb the verification or compliance cost associated with this process. So that's something happening. And also we should be ready for a price negotiation because once we know what is the actual emissions, obviously India is higher than the Chinese emission as of date. So obviously we have some cost disadvantage in that sense. But there is also a cap for how much they can import from China. So India cannot be ignored. So we are the immediate choice for them. But then there will be negotiations based on the product emissions, and then there will be push to take actions to reduce it. So then we have to explore the options for reducing it. So that's the thing. But the expectation is to be ready for the discussion, a hard discussion, and then ready with the monitoring plan. So you have to, I mean, there is a structured method, not just a Word document, but there is a defined method by you, which mandates to prepare a monitoring methodology plan, which will be audited whenever our data is verified by the European verifier or CBAM accredited verifier. And as of date, in any verification body uh, which is already accredited by EU ETS or by European competent authority are only eligible for verification. Not everybody. I think even if I am right, players in India, all the big companies, big four, still they try to get their hands to work with European competent authority to get the accreditation done for that. It is still in process. There are one or two are available, but not everybody is accredited to do the verification for CBAM. But anyway, it will happen by end of this year. So by the time there will be a lot of auditors will be available, but then it's important to have this internal mechanism to collect the data, set up the process, document the methodology plan, which is important right now in this month, January or this February, so that that methodology is used to calculate all the data going forward. And so what is the critical next steps? So obviously we have to start look at what we are exporting to Europe, and then we need to start identify the product process mapping and within the plant. So if you have one plant, it's fine, but you have multiple plants where you produce different European goods, then you have to take care of all the plants and then find out the overall production mechanism process involved, and then the energy sources for all those plants. So that is very important. And then once you have understanding of this mapping, then it is important to evaluate the monitoring, how we monitor or log these data, how much consumption of fuel or production quantity, the production logs, energy purchase data. So all these things, where do we log? It's another important point. So there has to be system. And then the CM cost impact analysis. So once you know and you know the list of HSNs, you can calculate the cost exposure. Like I said, you can check the website. You had a free, data for understanding, or you can engage with any consultants who can help us to uh, define the cost exposure for you. So once the documentation, once you know what is the current level of the methodology is followed, then eventually, obviously, we'll define the monitoring plan, how we need to monitor, and what are the new mechanism we need to put in place to document the data required for the EU compliance. So that is another important activity. And as part of the audit, obviously they'll look for traceability of purchase records, and the emission factor given by our supplier or the producers. Is it really authenticated, verified? So they will ask for certificates, all those things. So it has to be documented, and it's recommended to have a central system, digital system to track all the data, which can be used for remote audits at the end of 2026 by the EU verifiers, and also to share the evidences in a digital way. So that's another data management system should be part of the monitoring methodology. And as even the next step, even the methodology is recommending for monitoring calculation based as well as measurement based, which means using devices and sensors technologies to get a real-time data, which will be again much more um, you know appreciated or encouraged when it comes to the monitoring methodology perspective. Yeah. And when it comes to the indirect emissions, I think most of us are already having some renewable energy, or if not, then it's a good time to look into the renewable sources. And if you're having a PPA with a third party, it's also important to get the data in real time, or get the REC certificate to assurance that the data, the energy we purchased and produced or tallying for the respective dates. So that level of traceability is expected again in the audit. And in case if it is not there, then we cannot claim the green energy advantage of putting zero emission for your electricity, because they just reject that during audit if we don't have the hourly traceability of energy flow, the temporal mapping. And then finally, so once we have all this, we know what is the emissions and how much we are internally consuming all the fuels and gases. Then next step is to look for opportunities to reduce or optimize this emission. As you've seen in previous slides, um, they are going to reduce all the free allocations and allowances by 2034. Beyond that, every emission is counted or fully taxed, 100% taxed. So this is the time frame where we can gradually look at reducing or finding options how we can reduce it. So that would be the right approach. Okay, so I will show a demo later. Before that, I will just few more slides. I think those who are already done the PCF, product carbon footprint for your HSN, you may already know the process, and you may have the emission data already, which is good. If not, I would encourage you to consider doing PCF for your products, or start with CBAM for HSNs. And whenever there is a need, you can continue with the PCF on need basis. But this is not mandatory, but this is the proactive best practices. As I was saying, it is important for us to know how much we emit, so that we are in control of the process involved and how we can improve the efficiency in each process, until it's manufactured and shipped from our gate. And typically, if you see, most of the emissions comes from the material acquisition for minor processors or component manufacturers. So they will rely on the producers, steel producers, to share the accurate emissions and certificates so that they can share it with the European exporters. Yeah, so this is again in a long term, as all the big European companies are already committed to reduce their Scope 3 emissions. If there is a strong push for all their suppliers, then you can consider going for an SBTi commitment, which is like reducing emissions by 2035, 50% or 100%, but at least the Scope 1 and 2 by 2034, 5. And you can align all these activities in your business strategy. It would be beneficial because the investment you make in the strategy consulting and then identifying the green energies or opportunities, everything will go hand in hand. If you have a long-term strategy for your organization, how do we reduce emission? Let's say for 10 years from now, I'm going to reduce this much. For that, I need to know what is the emission now. And then I will align also with the European CBAM standards for this 10 years. So everything will be flowing seamlessly if you are well prepared now for the next 10 years, and then try to see how we can you know reduce as per the mandates, or find options, alternate options, how we can navigate this journey. Yeah, so this is about the science-based target setting. And yeah, so how climate can help, and what we're doing is primarily we work with you and your European customers to provide the necessary data required for your products and each exports, and also help with the system setup, procedure setups, and the emission calculation for all your HSN, which will be set up in a license software, which will be available anytime for any product. Even if you're producing a new product, new HSN, it can be done with the same system, without any additional expense as well as additional effort. So it is centralized. And yeah, so that's something we're already doing for our customers who are using the system. And besides CBAM, of course, we also support all other ESG and GHG advisory and the platform services. So let me quickly show a demo of it. Then we come back to the Q&A. Yeah, so I hope you are able to see my screen. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for confirmation, sir. Yeah, so this is a one-shop solution for all our ESG and sustainability climate-related data requirements and reporting regulatory requirements. It's a comprehensive platform. For GHG, you have all the scope 1 to 3 data across your facilities. And you also have the annual emission trend based on your operation. This will help for your um, internal tracking, as well as if you're committing for reduction, then this will be giving you visibility. And you can also have multi-year analysis if you're reducing for 4 or 5 years. So what is the emissions, how it is reducing across your facility. And similarly, from facility point of view, if you have multiple facility, you can validate what are the emissions, scope 1 to 3 from the different units. And so this is again, you get a benchmark against your competitors. So if you're working in the automotive sector, so similar competitors, what is the scope 1, 2, 3 and total emissions, and what is the intensity, and so this will give you where you stand in this space, and then you can also see how competitive you are. And then in terms of emissions by category, so we also provide emissions per supplier, if we, which supplier is contributing more emissions, and also the materials. Um, and there is something called biogenic, which is for wood and wooden-based products or flag emissions. So this is more from the GHG protocol or carbon emission for your organization, and you get a complete visibility for all your company branch offices. So or different plants. So what is the emissions? So it is available for you. And there are multiple ways. You can import through Excel, or if you want, you can directly enter, but it's month on month. And so once system is set up, the team has to enter the data month on month, then it's getting it. So besides this, you also have provisions to track your utility, all the utilities from, let's say, fuel to electricity. I think this is what even CBAM insist, having a system or a log in a monitoring methodology, what they call, even though it's a procedure. So you can have the system to enter the data in a central way for each building wise, um, for electricity or your solar, how much, if you have on-site solar or if you're purchasing, so you can uh, track all those data. And similarly, I think for CBAM, it doesn't include water or air pollution, but in general, so this system provides like a single platform for all your needs. So even your ESG or other supplier assessments. So if you track it and keep it centrally, it will be available at on demand. And and then the various initiatives and activities taken within the company for ESG. So let's say if you're having an initiative to reduce emissions, um, so under environment, you have categories like GHG or biodiversity or energy or carbon avoidance. So there is an initiative, and for that you have an investment made. Um, and then what are the branch or plant will be impacted by this initiative, and what are the various even SDGs it is aligning with. So all those data, and you have evidences. If you want, you can store evidences. So again, this is the various initiatives or measures you are taking, and you can track where are you on that in terms of percentage. So this will help you to, as a management, to look at what are the initiatives we are doing and how much we're investing and how far we are. And this will be the talking point with your buyers and a differentiating point when you are pitching for a new bidding process and all. Okay. So, but anyway, so this is a very neat hygiene system for any company to have. And utility, once you have all the utility data, you also have full visibility of so what is the total emission generated, so total electricity generated, consumed, and from fossil and renewable mix, and all other datas, heating and fuel. I mean, currently I didn't enter any data, so it's empty, but otherwise you'll get a weekly trend of energy consumption, fuel, heating, and cooling purchased. So coming to CBAM, as I was saying, like, so there is a provision for every product in your product list. So the system will classify whether it is a CBAM good or non-CBAM good for every goods. And then the production route is also tracked for each system, I mean each product. So what is the production route? Or you have all production route. So that is something available. And we calculate the product emission through system. So once it is set up, so for all your products, you just need to select the product, and then if it is CBAM, cradle to gate or gate to gate, then you have the emission factor per product, and you have also the production process emission. So what is the emission associated with electricity, fugitive, process, flue gases, or any fuels? So all those things will be available. And whenever you are exporting, you just need to uh, upload your export invoice to the system. So let's say, so this is an all the invoice number and date, supplier, origin, consignee, the different countries in Europe. Uh, so either you can enter manually or you can upload it from the template available. So Excel template, which you can download it here. So through which you can upload the invoices. So once the invoice is uploaded for every shipment, then you get the CBAM report. So this is the report generated um, for the selected date. Okay, so selected for this quarter. So for this quarters, there are two European customers, and for each customer, so what is the item or material code we shipped, and then invoice number, PO number, and then associated emissions. So SEC direct, indirect, and then the total emissions, source of electricity, all those things. And eventually you will have a country carbon price instrument, all those things. So if it is coming live, so you should be able to see that. Um, so this is for this customer, and then for another customer, you have separate for that quarter. These are the goods you are exported, and you can download this report either PDF, XLS, or CSV. And this is what you can share it with your customer uh, on different frequencies. So if they insist on every shipment, you can do it for every invoice, or you can do it for monthly, quarterly, or weekly as agreed. So there is no constraint in the system. So you can just select the date and system will generate the report um, with all the datas. Yeah. So, or if you want to select PDF also, you will get a PDF. So it depends on the customer thing. Yeah. So you get the uh, PDF report as well. Yeah. So this is about the CBAM. Mm, Eventually, of course, I was talking about this overall GHG for your company. So all the data you entered for different companies, uh, under the report, you can also generate GHG. And there are a lot of data is already generated. I'm just going to download. So just to show you how the report looks like for managing your greenhouse gas emission for the company, not specific to CBAM. So what you've seen before is CBAM, that Excel and the PDF. So this is for the GHG emission for your entire corporate operations. So again, this is an auto-generated report. So based on the data you provide, and then you get to know scope 1, 2, 3 total emissions for each scopes, bifurcations, and then emissions by facilities, the overall trend of the emissions, so actual supply chain. And we also provide this report as audit ready. So as we work with all the big auditing agencies, so all the calculation, emission factors used for the calculation will be provided, and which will be verified by the third party for the auditing purpose as well. Yeah. So Yeah, so that's a quick demo of the product, and there is much more is coming, but I will stop here. I'll pass the ball to Gopal sir. So if anybody has any questions, happy to discuss that.
Good afternoon, Mr. Gopal Krishnan. This is Rao, and very happy to see the presentation, very detailed, and you fully covered what is CBAM. I have few questions around CBAM. First
Yes,
is,
sir.
what are the scopes covered under CBAM? Is a scope 1, 2 or scope 3 also? And my second question is, what is the scope of the CBAM certification? It is cradle to gate or gate to gate? And the third question is embodied carbon also included in the carbon emission or no?
Yeah. So to answer first question, in terms of CBAM, this is primarily your product-related emissions. So which means anything goes into your production process for the particular, HSN you are producing. So it could be your scope 1 if you are a fuel consumption, and obviously scope 2 if you have electrical, and scope 3 perspective, you have your purchased precursor, which is like your raw material purchase. So that comes under scope 3. Yeah, which is typically scope 3.1. That is also part of the CBAM category. And the second question, so you asked about the carbon certificate, right?
No, not carbon certificate. What is the scope of the certification? Is it cradle to gate or gate to gate?
No, it's actually gate to gate.
Oh,
Because
okay, that's good.
if you are a producer, then it will be cradle to gate. Okay. So if you are a component manufacturers, it will be gate to gate.
Thank you. Third question was on embodied carbons.
So can you clarify what do you mean by
Yeah, the emissions also include embodied carbon or only the emissions that we calculate for CBAM? Embodied carbon.
See, embodied carbon as part of your raw material purchase is part of CBAM. So it is included. So it has to be accounted. So it's not only for the process happening within the facility. You need to include your embodied carbon for your raw material as well.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, welcome, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
I posted some questions on the message section.
Well, you can check on the chat box. Sir. 2 questions are there, sir.
Oh, one second. So let me check. Okay. Okay. So what factors increase carbon emission in foundry, and what are the alternate solutions for the cupola-based foundry? State control, sir, and then cut for this one. Okay, sir. So I will. So the first one, sir. So I think it is based on the production process. So see, as part of the process, the first step is to identify your goods category, the CBAM goods category for your product, and then the current production process and methodology with the plant visit. Typically, the setup and the arrangements you have. So that will be based on the visit and the machinery inspection and the capacity, all those things will be done, sir. So based on that, we'll assess and then we'll provide you the next steps. Because it's not like one-stop solution for all, right? So every setup is different. So typically it is done through a plant audit or a visit. So that's what I can say. But in general, the flue gas from the foundry is one of the major culprit as part of the process emission. So that actually heavily consumed, and then obviously your coal or whatever other fuel you use, coke, as part of the production process is the second thing. So bituminous coal or anthracite coal or coke, whatever is used as a
videos create பண்ணேன். Trailer
Okay.
create பண்ணேன். Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
So
sir. I think
that's the typical process. And then so regarding cost, yeah, you can reach out, sir. And again, this is not a standard thing. So based on the number of units and size of the the data and the license number of users, so based on that, it will be configured. I will send you a form. You can fill that requirement. Then we'll provide you the estimation, sir.
So,
We'll support you in all the ways.
Those who have that question, that is the contact number of the person. You can just note down and send WhatsApp the requirements. He will send us the details regarding so. Okay, I think we came to the end of the session today. Okay, now it is a vote of thanks time. On behalf of Institute of Indian Foundryman, National Center for Skill Development and EHS Committee, I extend our sincerest thanks to everyone who contributed to the successful conduct of today's webinar, from price per kg to carbon per kg, how steel products can win orders in the era of green procurement. We are deeply grateful to our distinguished guest speaker, Mr. Trivenkateswaran Ramachandran, founder and CEO ClimateUp AI, for delivering an insightful and thoughtful session. His practical perspectives on carbon scope 3 emissions, carbon footprint, and net zero goals have provided immense value to our members and participants. We also sincerely thank Mr. D.G. Benhappa, Chairman, EHS Committee, and Mr. K. Dayalan, Chairman, NCSD, and C. Satyamurthy, Co-Chairman, EHS Committee and NCSD, for their guidance, leadership, and continuous support in organizing these important knowledge sharing initiatives. Our heartfelt appreciation goes to the NCSD and EHS members for the organizing team and the technical support team for their efforts in ensuring smooth conduct of this virtual program. We also thank all the participant IF members, industry professionals, and stakeholders for their active participation and engagement, which made this webinar truly meaningful. Once again, I thank you all for being part of this initiative. We look forward to your continued support and participate in the future programs of the Institute of Indian Foundryman. Thank you and have a great day.
Can we have the PPT?
Yes, sir.
PPT,